Good morning. Let's get started. Thank you for joining this morning's Q&A session as well as webinar. We're going to go over your questions. We're also going to talk about the Roth Solo 401k plan. We're also going to talk about the eligibility rules for those that are looking to open a solo 401k plan this year. And we're also going to talk about the $1,500 auto contribution credit. So we've got some good topics to go over here today. As always, today's Q&A session and webinar is for informational purposes. We're not providing legal advice, financial advice. We don't sell investments. So let's get started. So my solo 401k financial offers a self-directed solo 401k plan with checkbook control as well as wire control, which translates to being able to not only continue to invest in equities, whether we're talking about whether we're talking about stocks or exchange traded funds or index funds, to even CDs or bonds. Our plan allows for it in addition to being able to invest in alternative investments such as real estate by writing a check or by wire. Many of our clients will open a solo 401k with us, and they'll use Fidelity Investments to hold the solo 401k funds, and they'll be able to invest in traditional investments through that same brokerage account for the solo 401k, and they can also wire money out of that same brokerage account to invest in real estate if they want to purchase a commercial real estate or a family home for rental purposes only, where the 401k owns the property is rented out to individuals that are not related to you nor to yourself. So it needs to be rented out to non-disqualified parties. And of course, it also allows for investing in cryptocurrency, precious metals, and so forth, to name a few alternative investment types. The plan offered by my solo 401k financial also allows for a 401k participant loan where you borrow from your own retirement plan and you pay it back. So the interest and principal goes back into your own account. So you're paying your own 401k back. That's known as a solo 401k participant loan. And we prepare those loan documents as part of the setup at no additional charge. Of course, our plan also comes with the auto contribution credit that became available at the end of 2023, and it's available for new plans going forward. We're going to talk more about that. In the meantime, I'm going to send a link over that talks about the auto contribution credit so you can take a look at it. There's that link there that I'm sharing with you. That's a good write-up that we did as a guest post that talks about the solo 401k auto contribution credit. Let's see here. Let's also move on to the next slide here. So from an eligibility perspective, not everybody qualifies to open a solo 401k plan. You need to have net self-employment income in order to participate in a plan. In other words, you got to be doing the work. You got to be doing material services. So as long as you are doing self-employment activity, and then the next step is to not employ any full-time W-2 employees. Of course, if your business is an S corporation, you're going to be a W-2 employee, which is okay because you're also an owner in the business. So owner-only businesses qualify for a solo 401k plan as long as your business does not employ any non-owner common law full-time W-2 employees, which is anyone who works 1,000 hours or more in your business. The solo 401k plan also allows for the business owner's spouse to participate in the plan. So the spouse can participate in the plan as long as the spouse is also doing self-employment activity under the business. Therefore, it would just be one solo 401k plan with two participants. Here's a good slide here that gives you an illustration of a solo 401k plan where you have two participants in the plan. So here we're talking about, we're talking here about a total of 6 holding accounts. So 3 holding accounts for the first participant. The first one is a pre-tax holding account. The second one is a Roth holding account. And the third one is the voluntary after-tax holding account. And then down here, it would be the same type of accounts, same labels, but it would be 3 additional ones for the second spouse. So you're looking at 6 participant accounts here, 1 for each spouse and 1 for each source of funds. So the plan that we offer already allows for all these contribution types, which means that you don't have to make these contributions from the onset. You can make these different type of contributions later on as your needs evolve. But the plan is already drafted to allow for the maximum flexibility under the law, including being able to make these types of contributions, with the voluntary after-tax solo 401k contribution being very popular as part of the mega backdoor Roth solo 401k. Let's see here. Let's go back here. Let's look at this. Here's a slide here where it's just one participant in the plan. And your spouse can also be added later as a participant once the spouse starts to work for the business, if the spouse is not working for the business now. So in this case here, we only have one participant in the plan, so one plan and 3 separate holding accounts. Let's flip and start talking about the Roth Solo 401k. So the Roth Solo 401k plan is very popular, especially those that are really trying to maximize their tax-free retirement funds. For 2025, Roth Solo 401k contributions, there are 2 types of contributions that you can make to the Roth Solo 401k. You've got an employee contribution, and then there's also the employer Roth Solo 401k contribution. This slide here is honing in on the employee Roth Solo 401k contribution. So here, for 2025, you can contribute $23,500 as an employee Roth Solo 401k contribution. What is more, for those who are age 50 or older in 2025, you can also make an additional catch-up contribution amount of $7,500. What's great about the catch-up contribution rules for 2025 and going forward is that there is an additional catch-up type. It's called the super catch-up. It only applies to a certain age group. So you have to be within this age range here, 60, 61, 62, or 63. If you fall within that range, then instead of contributing $7,500 as a catch-up, you can contribute $11,250 as a catch-up. You can contribute both, but you can choose to contribute one or the other. And again, it's only available to a certain age group. Anyone that's 60, 61, 62, or 63 in 2025, and it's for 2025 contribution limits, not for prior years like 2024. So if you add that Roth Solo 401k employee contribution with the super catch-up amount of $11,250, conceivably, if you fall within that age group, you can contribute a total of $34,750 in Roth Solo 401k funds on the employee side for 2025. The catch-up contribution can only go in as an employee contribution. You can treat it as an employee Roth solo 401k contribution, or you can treat it as a pre-tax employee solo 401k contribution. One of the tidbits we like to bring up is that unlike a Roth IRA, for those who also want to contribute to a Roth IRA contributions are subject to your adjusted gross income, which translates to if you make too much earned income, then you cannot make a Roth IRA contribution. Of course, there's a way around that by utilizing the Backdoor Roth IRA, where you make a non-deductible contribution to your IRA and then immediately convert it to the Roth IRA. That's known as the Backdoor Roth IRA. Well, with the Roth Solo 401k plan, those Roth Solo 401k contributions are not restricted by your adjusted gross income. Of course, you have to have enough net self-employment income from your business to justify that contribution amount. But if you make too much, that doesn't mean you're not going to be able to contribute. Let's also talk about the employer Roth Solo 401k contributions. I don't have a slide for that today, but next time I'll make sure to include one. So the Roth Solo 401k also allows for employer Roth Solo 401k contributions, in addition to the employee Roth Solo 401k contributions. As an example, let's say you have a self-employed S corporation business and you pay yourself on a W-2. Let's further assume that you pay yourself, let's say $100,000 of W-2 wages for tax year 2025. Using that $100,000 example, you could contribute $23,500 as an employee Roth Solo 401k contribution. And if you're age 50 or older, you can do the catch-up amount of $7,500. Or if you fall within this age range of 60, 61, 62, or 63, instead of contributing the $7,500 catch-up, you can contribute $11,250 as a catch-up. So that would exhaust your employee Roth Solo 401k contributions. However, due to Secure 2.0 Act, you can also make employer Roth Solo 401k contributions. Using that S corporation example where you have $100,000 of W-2 wages, the employer contribution is always going to be a percentage, whether it's an employer Roth Solo 401k contribution or an employer profit sharing pre-tax contribution. So 25% of $100,000 is $25,000. So you could contribute another $25,000 as an employer Roth Solo 401k contribution. Thus, you will have both contributed employee Roth Solo 401k contributions as well as employer Roth Solo 401k contributions. A caveat to that employer Roth Solo 401k contribution, for those that are looking to utilize the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k by making voluntary after-tax Solo 401k contributions, it may not make any sense to do the employer Roth Solo 401k contribution, because with the voluntary after-tax Solo 401k contribution, one, it's not a percentage base. Therefore, instead of doing a 25% employer Roth Solo 401k contribution, you can do a dollar for dollar voluntary after-tax Solo 401k contribution and immediately convert it to the Roth Solo 401k or to the Roth IRA. Second, it takes less earned income to maximize voluntary after-tax Solo 401k contributions. Using that S corporation example of $100,000 of W-2 wages, instead of paying yourself $100,000 of W-2 wages, you can pay yourself $70,000 instead for 2025 for those who are under age 50. And using that example of $70,000, you could do the entire $70,000 and treat it as a voluntary after-tax solo 401k contribution. So you report 70,000 of W-2 wages. You can contribute the entire 70,000 as a voluntary after-tax solo 401k contribution, and then immediately turn around and convert it to the Roth solo 401k. So you would make it into this bucket here, that 70,000 into the voluntary after-tax holding account, aka a bank account or brokerage account under the plan, and then you would immediately convert it to the Roth solo 401k plan. So it takes less earned income to get to where you want to be, which is supercharge your retirement account with Roth solo 401k funds. You can do that really easily with the voluntary after-tax solo 401k contribution, which then gets converted to the Roth solo 401k as part of the mega backdoor. We went over this slide already. This is an example of a one participant plan. Keep in mind that with the solo 401k plan, you're required to have separate holding accounts for each source of funds. And here's an example of two participants in the plan. For example, both spouses work for the same business. That business sponsors the solo 401k plan. Both spouses participate in that plan. It's a total of 6 holding accounts, 3 for each spouse, a pre-tax Roth and an after-tax. So one plan, 6 separate bank or brokerage accounts. Let's transition and talk about the solo 401k auto contribution credit. So this type of credit is available to both existing solo 401k plans as well as newly adopted solo 401k plans. Let's talk about newly adopted solo 401k plans. Anyone that opens a solo 401k plan here in 2025 will qualify for that auto contribution credit of $1,500, which is spread out over 3 years in $500 increments. The first $500 would apply for 2025, the second in 2026, and the final one in 2027. You file Form 8881 each year to claim that $500 auto contribution credit. You have to adopt a plan from a company like my solo 401k Financial, whose plan has that auto contribution feature built into the plan. Traditional plan providers like Fidelity and the Schwabs of the world do not currently offer a plan with the auto contribution credit. Also, from an auto contribution credit perspective, if you are an existing client, your solo 401k plan will need to be amended to allow for the auto contribution credit. Specifically, if you're an existing solo 401k client that opened the plan with us prior to December of 2023, your plan would need to be amended. So you would need to submit a support ticket on our website so that we can amend your plan to allow for that auto contribution credit, which means that if it's added this year, then you would qualify for that auto contribution credit for 3 years, starting in 2025, and then another one in 2026, and a final one in 2027. Now, here's a good slide about the benefits of opening a solo 401k plan for my solo 401k Financial. So we handle compliance reporting for our clients' solo 401k plans, provided that they timely request certain compliance items, specifically Form 1099-R and Form 5500 Easy. Since we don't have access to your funds, you need to communicate to us. Once you need to have a Form 1099-R prepared, which applies for distributions as well as conversions. The second report is a Form 5500 Easy, which applies once the market value of your solo 401k plan is greater than $250,000. So you have to take into account all of the holdings in your plan to determine whether or not your solo 401k market value is greater than $250,000. Likewise, if there are 2 participants in the plan, you have to add all of the participants' funds in the plan. And if when added together, the market value is greater than $250,000, then a Form 5500 Easy will need to be filed with the government. For example, if your plan year ends on December 31st of each year, and if the market value of your solo 401k plan was greater than 250,000 as of December 31st of 2024, then a Form 5500 Easy will need to be filed with the government by July 31st of this year. We will go ahead and prepare that and file it with the government electronically for those who timely request it. For the Form 1099-R, if you process the distribution in 2024 or did any type of conversion, whether you converted pre-tax solo 401k funds or utilized the mega backdoor Roth solo 401k strategy where you made a voluntary after-tax solo 401k contribution and then converted it to the Roth IRA or the Roth solo 401k, a Form 1099-R will need to be issued to report those types of transactions. So make sure that you timely request that so that we can prepare it and file that for you. For new clients, we'll shepherd them through setting up bank or brokerage accounts, as well as transferring IRAs or former employer plans to the account. Also for existing clients, if you only open up one of the pre-tax or Roth holding accounts now, we can help you open up the other one down the road. Similar for transfers. If you want to transfer IRA or former employer funds, we'll help you with those transfers, whether you're an existing client or a new client. Same thing with solo 401k participant loan documents. Whenever you borrow from the solo 401k plan, you have to follow specific government procedures, including having specific loan documents prepared with the payment schedule that have specific language regarding the solo 401k loan participant payback rules and regulations. We'll prepare that as part of our annual support. We charge a flat annual fee after the first year, which is $125 per year. That covers all these compliance items. The reason for our annual fee is for being the plan document provider. However, we've also will include these additional services that I just went over at no additional fee. And of course, we'll consult on the rules and regulations, kind of like we do when we're fielding Q&A questions or we field emails as well. And of course, our plan comes with the auto contribution credit for new plans. Okay, that concludes the presentation here. We're going to turn over to some of your questions. As always, you can follow the conversation on our community section of our website. The specific website address is mysolo401k.net/my-community. We have over 30,000 members there. We're constantly replying to forum posts. So take a look at that. Let's turn over to the live chat now. Let's see here. So, hello, can you depreciate real estate bought for a rental with a solo 401k trust? Great question. The quick answer is no. Reason being is that the property is owned by the solo 401k plan. So depreciation of real estate does not apply when real estate is owned by a retirement plan, whether it's a solo 401k or a self-directed IRA for that matter. Considering opening this up today, may do it with you. That's great. If you want to get started, we have our online application to open account. Let me shoot that over here, the link to our open account page. We generally prepare the plan documents the same day. We'll provide them by a download link. You sign them, you upload them, you then reply to a next steps where you communicate to us that you want to use either your local bank or a brokerage firm like Fidelity to open the holding accounts, which come with checkbook control and wire control, whether it's at Fidelity or your local bank. So yes, Fidelity will provide brokerage accounts for the plan that we offer with checkbook control and wire control, which means you would be able to invest in real estate through that brokerage account in addition to being able to invest in equities. So it's one-stop shop. Let me send over a procedure for investing in real estate through a solo 401k when you use my solo 401k financial as the plan provider and you use Fidelity Investments to hold the solo 401k funds. So here's the procedure that applies specifically to a Fidelity brokerage account. Okay, let's see here. Well, I appreciate today's questions. It looks like we've exhausted our questions for today. Keep in mind, we'll be back again here in a few hours at 1 p.m. Pacific time. We have 2-a-days where we do 2 webinars per day, one at 10 a.m. Pacific time and a second one at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Until then, you have a great rest of the day.